Muse for you, awesome websites without code.
Hey, what's up Musers? John with Muse for You, here to help you build awesome websites without code. And welcome to quick tip number 25. In this quick tip, I'm going to go over this website here called Pigment by ShapeFactory. And this is probably one of the coolest websites I've ever come across as far as web design and development. It just lets you pick out different colors and pick out the perfect colors for your own project. So I have the website here, and this is what it looks like initially. I'll leave a link in the show more section below. It's pigment.shapefactory.co. And basically when you first go enter the website, it's just different circles and squares with different colors, and perfect. And when you click on any one of these colors here, swatches, so I click, and here it reveals the different colors. So we have this selective yellow, and we have this cerulean color here, and I can go through and change that blue color to darker or lighter, and the same for the yellow right over here. So it's just a really useful tool when picking colors. I'm sure a lot of designers really love this website, and you can just pick out any swatch and see the different color variations just like that. And then right down here you can copy the hex code for the color. The RGB code is right here as well, and the Pantone right here as well. So yeah, that's the Pigment ShapeFactory.co. It's really cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this site. There's a lot of different features to it, so I'm just gonna use it as if I were to be working on my own project, just so you can see all the functionality of this website and the different things that it does. So right over here to the left, we have Pigment and we have lighting. So if you work with any of these, it changes the lighting and the pigment of these swatches and these colors. So that really lets you control kind of how the color looks and different things like that. So let's say you had a favorite color. One of my favorite colors is purple. You can click on this paint palette here. So I'll click there and I'll select purple, and now we have different variations of purple here, and I can work with the pigment and the lighting to get some really nice different variations of purple. And I can go through, let's say I like this one here, I can just click on it, and I can get even other variations by clicking on these tabs here to change the colors. So let's say I like something like this. I can go ahead and use it. I can copy the hex code right here, or there's another really cool thing that you can do with this website. Right up here in the upper right, there's a button called More Actions. If I click on it, we can now save it as a .svg, which will open in Illustrator, and you have all the swatches there. You can use a sketch palette, or you can use an Adobe.ase file. So I'm going to go ahead and download this. Actually, I'll download it in a second. I'll just run through the different options here. You can change it to a gradient. So now we have this gradient, and I can work with this here. I can turn the wheel to change the gradient angle, and I'll go back to the pigment. So yeah, so once you click on gradient, when you're in the gradient section, it turns to pigment, and when you're in the pigment section, you have the gradient option. Duotone I'm going to cover in a second, and they have this option here called Start a Logo, and you can share. I'm going to cover gradient and Duotone and this Adobe.ase in this tutorial. So I'll go ahead and click on Adobe.ase. So I'll click, and it downloads onto my computer. So I'm just going to go ahead and place it in a folder. Okay, so here I've placed the .ase file in this folder. It's called Tilapia to Mulberry. Okay, perfect, and those are the two colors that I'm using here. So here in Adobe Muse, I'll just open up Adobe Muse real quick. To bring in those colors, all I have to do is go to the swatches panel here where it says fill, click the drop down, and then I can right click here where the swatches are and say import swatch library. So I'll click here, and I've navigated to that folder with the tilapia to mulberry.ase. So here I'll just double click, and just like that, it adds those colors to my swatches panel. So I can create a rectangle in Adobe Muse and use those colors for my website. So just like that, we have those colors from the Pigment by ShapeFactory website. Okay, so that's basically it for selecting the colors. You can also select the hexadecimal code here. So here I could just click on this clipboard and it's copied. Then I can go back into Muse, go to the fill option and paste that right in there, just like that. And there I have that color. Perfect. So it's just that easy to work with the colors in Muse. It's a really great website. And the other thing I'm going to go over is the gradient option. So here I'm going to click on gradient. And now we have this nice gradient. We can see it's at a 45 degree angle. So one thing, if you've worked with Muse before, you'll notice that if I go to the fill option and I select gradient, you can only set a horizontal or vertical gradient. So here I could set some type of gradient by selecting these colors and working with these colors, but it would only be vertical or horizontal, and I'll delete this here. So we do have a gradient, but it's not that 45 degree angle. If you did want an angle to the gradient, you could use the advanced gradients widget found at museforyoushop.com. I actually have it here, so here I'll go to the library panel. And if you don't see the library panel, you can go to Window and click on Library. And here I'm just going to type in advanced, right in here, advanced gradients. And I'm going to bring in the advanced gradients graphic style. So here I'll click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse. And perfect. And I'll go ahead and apply it to the entire background. So I'm just going to hide this element for the moment. So I just right clicked and hide in breakpoint. So here I'm going to open the widget options and we notice the graphic style name is gradient 1. I'm going to go ahead and change this to HTML so it covers the entire browser. That's the graphic style name you enter to have the gradient code fill the entire browser. So here we can see it says enter gradient code from the gradient generator. We're going to grab it from the website. So I'm going to go here back to the Pigment, back to this website. And here where it says more actions, I'm going to click the drop down. And now we have this option here that says copy CSS. So this option is available when you use the gradient option. So here I'll just say copy CSS, so it's copied. I'll go back into the advanced gradients widget and I'll highlight this text and hit Command V to paste and then enter. And I also want to make sure that this text is deleted if I'm not adding a shadow to the gradient. So now if I preview, file, preview page in browser, we now have the gradient applied to the entire page here. Looks good. So I can go ahead and, if I wanted the angle to be different, like something like this, like 240, just do something like that. Or let's try that again, just by changing this the circle here. Okay, so if I did change the angle for the gradient, the CSS will still say 45 degrees. But I could just go into the gradient code here and where it says 45 degrees, just change this to 240, just like that. Okay, and I'll go ahead and preview, and now we have that gradient. So here's the 240 and here's the gradient applied to the page. All right, so you can use the advanced gradients widget for that. If you did want to use the two colors option, which is right here, you could just click, hold, and drag, place into Adobe Muse. And because we've already added the colors to the swatches, I can just select those colors here within the widget, and I can change the angle to any angle I'd like to change the gradient here for this element. All right, so it's really useful to use gradients within Muse, and I can go ahead and preview, and there's my gradient. Perfect. Looks good. All right, so that's using the gradient option. You can use it with the advanced gradients widget, either copying the CSS code or using the two colors widget to apply the gradient. And you can apply it to the entire browser or to specific elements. Okay, so we've gone over the CSS. Let me go back to the Pigment. So we'll work with these two colors. Yeah, we've gone over the hex, and let's see if we have a few other options here. All right, I'll just go back to the home page just to select a few other different colors, and I'll select purple again. Let's bring the lighting down, and let's do something really interesting. So many cool colors here. Let's see if we bring the pigment up a little bit, and yeah, we'll do something like this here. All right, so we have these two colors. We have Mardi Gras and Cerise Red. So I'll work with these colors. Let's say I wanted to apply these colors to an image. one really cool thing with this website is if you go to more actions, you can click on Duotone, and if I click there, these colors get applied to Unsplash images. So if you've used Unsplash images, it's a really popular website to access images. You can apply those colors to these images. You can also upload your own image by clicking on the upload button next to the search bar. So I probably wouldn't use these colors. They have some nice presets here. If you click on this kind of eye drop, you can work with some nice presets. That one's pretty cool. So I can grab like this universe image here. You could search Unsplash, like you could type any image. Here I'll click on it. It shows you the image when it's larger, and you can click download right in here and it'll download the image. So here I've placed the image in this folder, and I'll just grab it. I'll create a rectangle in Muse and fill the image with, or fill the rectangle with an image. So I'll go to fill and I'll select add image, and I'll select this image here, which is Duotone. I've downloaded one before, so it says number 2. So I'll double click, say scale to fill, and there I have the image. So just like that, you can have a Duotone image on your website with the Duotone website from ShapeFactory. So I'll preview, and perfect, there's the image. I can add some nice text over it and really get some nice color combinations for my site. All right, so I'll do one more. I'll go back to the Duotone site, and let's go back to Unsplash, or select the Unsplash image. I like chocolate, so I'm just gonna type in chocolate and see what it comes up with. Say search. We have some nice images here. That looks pretty cool. And let's pick a more chocolatey color. That's interesting. So yeah, you can just have a lot of fun with this website. I'll go ahead and do, it was Valentine's yesterday, so I'll do these hearts here. And I'll click download and place it in that folder. And I'm gonna rename this file here to Duotone chocolate hearts image, or hearts. It looks more like hearts. All right, so I'll go back into Muse, fill, change the image, and just like that, we have that image with the Duotone applied to it. All right, so that's basically it for this, for quick tip number 25. You can go to duotone.shapefactory.co for the Duotone site, or you could go to pigment.shapefactory.co. And you can access the Duotone when you're working with any swatch. You can change the colors and change the lighting and the pigment to get some really nice color combinations. And then the more actions, you can save it as a .svg, a sketch palette, adobe.ase to bring the color palette into Adobe Muse or any Adobe program you're working with. You can work with the gradient option, and we have the Duotone here, which is what we just worked with. And this will take you to the Duotone website where the images will have that Duotone applied to it. All right, so it's a really, really amazing website. Super happy I came across it, and super happy to be sharing it with you. I'm sure a lot of designers are gonna really like this website because it allows you to go through different color combinations and pick some really interesting colors for your project. And it has hexadecimal colors, RGB, and Pantone colors as well. All right, so that's it for quick tip number 25. It's pigment.shapefactory.co. The advanced gradients widget can be found at museforyoushop.com. I'll leave a link in the show more section below. So that's it for this video tutorial. Again, I do this to help you build awesome websites without code. If you like this video tutorial, you can subscribe below. Also in the show more section below are links to other resources and links to museforyoushop.com. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video tutorial. Thank you.
Muse for You, awesome websites without code.